Tonight, we're diving into something really fascinating, a new kind of media that's basically designed to be a digital lullaby for kids. And what's wild is that it's way more than just a simple bedtime story. We're talking about a precisely engineered experience.
So check this out. This quote, it isn't from a sci-fi movie or something. It's a real deal production note for a kid's video. It's basically the recipe, right? An instruction manual for creating a very specific vibe. And you see those keywords, ultra soft whisper, subtle tingles, soft breaths. Those are our first big clues. This is exactly where we start pulling back the curtain.
And all of this really begs the big question we're tackling today. How on earth did this become the new bedtime story? What is it about this kind of super engineered content that makes it so effective? And maybe more importantly, how is it so different from the stories you or I remember from when we were kids?
All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to break it down into 5 parts. First, we'll look at what this new lullaby even is. Then, we'll peek inside the ASMR toolbox to see how it's made. After that, we'll dissect the anatomy of a fact to understand the what behind the how. Then, we'll put it all together to see how they engineer calm. And finally, we'll zoom out and ask what this all means for bedtime's digital future.
Okay, so let's jump right into section 1, Science's new lullaby. The thing about the script we're using as our case study is that it's not just, telling a story. It's a perfect example of this growing trend you could call bedtime science. It's where these educational facts are completely repackaged, not just so kids can learn something, but to actually regulate their emotions, to, help them fall asleep. But how do they actually build one of these new lullabies? Well, that brings us right to section 2, the ASMR toolbox. We're about to deconstruct the how, the specific nuts and bolts techniques they use to create this incredibly calming effect. And the secret ingredient? It's a sensory phenomenon that is totally blown up online. And that phenomenon is, you guessed it, ASMR. If you've ever felt it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that super relaxing, tingly sensation that starts on your head and just kind of flows down. People call it brain tingles. And it's triggered by really specific things like whispering or tapping sounds or even just slow movements. The people making this content, they aren't just crossing their fingers and hoping it's calming. Nope. They are intentionally using proven ASMR triggers to get that exact reaction. And here's what's so wild. If you look at this list, it's almost a perfect match for that production note we saw at the very beginning. Every single one of these is a classic ASMR trigger. The whisper makes it feel personal and intimate. The slow pacing gives your brain a chance to chill out. The gentle sounds are predictable, not jarring. It's literally a complete sensory toolkit, built from the ground up to soothe the nervous system. But, okay, the sound and the feel of it is only one half of the story. That's just the delivery system. So now let's move on to section 3, the anatomy of a fact. Because what is being whispered is just as important and just as deliberately chosen as how it's being whispered. All right, let's take the very first fact from our script. Sea otters hold hands while sleeping, so they don't drift apart. On the surface, that's just a super cute animal fact, right? But if you look a little closer, there's a much, much deeper emotional current flowing right underneath. And that's the whole point. This fact isn't really about otters. It's a vehicle. It's a way to deliver a powerful message about connection and about safety. Think about it. It directly speaks to one of the most basic childhood fears, the fear of being separated. And it gives this beautiful, reassuring image. This isn't just a random piece of trivia. It's basically therapy disguised as a fun fact. Okay, here's another great example. Fact number 6. Hugs make your heart beat slower, feeling safe. And just like the otter fact, it's presented as a simple scientific statement about what happens to our bodies when we get a hug. But what this does so brilliantly is it takes this big abstract idea of safety and makes it something you can actually feel. It makes it tangible, physical. It confirms what a child already knows instinctively, that hugs feel good and safe. It even gives them a tool for later, because the script adds, even hugging your pillow counts. Now, let's look at a totally different kind of fact. This one is about the stars we see in the sky and how their light might have been traveling for millions of years. Now, that's a huge concept, right? For a kid, that idea of vast space and time could easily be a little overwhelming, maybe even scary. But look at how they frame it.
The script doesn't just drop this massive fact. It calls the starlight magical postcards. It's just genius, right? It totally transforms this potentially intimidating idea into something full of gentle wonder and awe. So now we're really starting to see a pattern here. Every single fact in this script seems to be handpicked for its emotional payload. So that brings us right to section 4, engineering calm. This is where it all comes together. We're going to fuse the how, the ASMR techniques, with the what, the comforting facts, to really understand the why behind this whole thing. It's all about this powerful combination of method and message.
And this table just lays out the formula perfectly. It's a two-pronged attack on anxiety. On the one hand, you've got the ASMR techniques, the whispering, the slow pace, which are getting the body into a physiological state of calm. It's lowering the heart rate, reducing anxiety. And then, at the very same time, the content, the facts themselves, are providing that psychological reassurance, that message of safety. So the method gets the body ready, and the message delivers the comfort. It is an incredibly powerful combo.
So, what does all this mean? What are the bigger implications of designing content that is this, well, sophisticated? That's what we're going to explore in our final section, Bedtime's digital future. Where is all this heading, and what does it mean for one of our oldest family rituals? Yeah, when you put the traditional bedtime ritual side by side with this new digital version, the differences really jump out at you. A parent's voice gets swapped for a perfectly optimized but totally disembodied one. A physical book you hold together becomes on-demand screen time. A shared interactive experience becomes something much more passive, more of an individual curated sensory consumption. The focus shifts from interaction to effect. And that, right there, is really the key takeaway from all of this. What we've been deconstructing today isn't just a playlist of cute facts. It's a carefully, meticulously crafted sensory experience. It is a piece of media that has been engineered with one very clear goal in mind: to regulate a child's emotions and nervous system, to help them get to a state of calm and ultimately fall asleep. Which, of course, leaves us with one last big question to think about. This kind of media, by its very design, is incredibly effective. It works. But as we get better and better at engineering content to soothe our kids, as we design these perfect digital lullabies, we have to ask, what are we gaming? And what, just maybe, are we losing? What's the trade-off between efficiency and the messy, human, shared ritual we've had for generations?